Thank you for spending your college football game day with us, and welcome to another episode of Blue Raider Extra Point. I'm Noah Brady, joined alongside Adam Brown, and that's Dylan Simmons there on the end. Excited to bring you another weekend of college football action here in the CUSA. And guys, we have a huge week 2 to talk about with full of upsets. Adam, we're going to kick it off with you. Take us around the CUSA.
All right, Noah, I've got a Texas versus Texas matchup and a Florida versus Florida matchup. Who's going to win these in-state rivalries? Let's take a look. This week on Around the CUSA, Texas is the gift that keeps on giving. The Lone Star State continues to produce great matchups, and this week is no different. The UTSA Roadrunners continue their gauntlet of non-conference games against the Texas Longhorns this week. Coming off an overtime win against Army in Week 2, after an overtime loss against Houston in Week 1, this team has already been tested early and will not back down from a fight. UTSA quarterback Frank Harris will be the reason the Roadrunners get the win if they do in fact beat Texas. Harris is the team's leading passer and rusher with 696 yards passing, 93 yards rushing, and a combined 7 touchdowns. The Longhorns, however, will have to rely on backup quarterback Hudson Card after starter Quinn Ewers was injured early in a 1-point loss to Alabama. Card held his own as the backup, and this will be his first look as the starter. Texas will need to gain control early and not let the Roadrunners hang around, or they could come to regret it. Next up, we have another in-state battle, but this time in the Sunshine State. FAU will take on UCF. The Owls have had very inconsistent performances so far this season. In Week 0 and Week 2, they held their opponents to less than 13 points, but in Week 1 allowed Ohio to score 41. However, all 3 games, they have scored 38 points or more. That kind of offensive production is a good sign for the Owls against a UCF team that only scored 14 against Louisville in a loss last week. The key for FAU will be to stop UCF senior quarterback John Plumlee, who is UCF's leading rusher and passer with 622 combined total yards through 2 games. If the Owls can slow him down, this could be a good candidate for an upset in this Florida fistfight. As you can see, we've got 2 great in-state matchups, but let's fill in the gaps around the rest of the Conference USA with today's slate.
That is the full slate of matchups coming up today around Conference USA. We'll be right back with more right here on Blue Raider Extra Point on True Blue TV.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would, but I can't.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzz and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
Welcome back to Blue Raider Extra Point. For this week's Big Blue Review, we've got a recap of the Rowdy Raiders' first series over the past weekend, and we've also got the MTSU men's basketball schedule being fully released. Let's take a look. The first weekend of Rowdy Raider hockey is in the books for the 2022-23 season, and it sure did create a lot of buzz, with the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets coming to town. MTSU and Georgia Tech first played on Friday the 9th in a classic Western shootout. Clay Stalzer had a particularly good night as he raided the Jackets defense for 2 goals. However, a critical 5-minute major penalty in the final 5 minutes would ultimately lead to an 8-4 Georgia Tech victory. The game on Saturday the 10th was much more tightly contested, with both teams hitting each other with Mike Tyson knockout blows. Lyndon Palmer was a true leader, but it would ultimately be Harvey Wrench who would be the Wayne Gretzky of the night by scoring a jaw-dropping goal with just 2 seconds on the clock in regulation to tie the game at 3. The game would end in a 3-3 tie, leaving MT with an 0-1-1 record. They now look ahead to the Georgia Bulldogs, who they will play on this weekend in their first road series of the season. The MTSU men's basketball team has had their schedule finalized for the upcoming year. The Blue Raiders will face a variety of challenges starting in the late fall with 20 conference games and 11 that will be out of conference. 14 of those games will be played at the Glass House itself, Murphy Center, where they currently hold a 17-game win streak. Some of MT's non-conference slate includes the likes of Murray State, Chattanooga, Montana State, and Stephen F. Austin, who are all defending conference champions coming into this year. Despite the challenge, Coach Nick McDevitt's squad remains poised to have another glass-shattering season. DeAndre Dishman and Jalen Jordan look to be standout pieces among others. It appears the Raiders will leave opponents feeling a little too blue after playing them this year. So Adam, I gotta ask, what did you think of the MTSU men's basketball schedule?
Well, Dylan, not very many resume-building matchups early on, which you want to see this team get tested before we get into the Conference USA schedule, where it's imperative that we take care of business, lock down the #1 seed, and try and get into the round of 64.
Talking about a test early on in the season, MTSU hockey certainly faced one of those. Audrey Green has this week's Blue Raider Spotlight with more on MT hockey.
When you think of club sports or intramural sports in college, you may think of spike ball or flag football. You don't really think of hockey, but at Middle Tennessee State University, the hockey club has been around for years and is actually somewhat of a hidden gem, but not for long. Lyndon Palmer has been playing hockey since he was 4 years old.
I wasn't expecting to be playing club hockey, but I couldn't be more thankful of where I'm at now. I love all my teammates, love all the opportunities I get.
For Palmer, playing at the club level allows him to enjoy his favorite sport, but the disadvantage? Not being called a D1 athlete. However, Palmer thinks his sport is different from any other club.
I don't know, for us, I feel like we have a very good turnout to be a club sport. We have a bunch of frats there. I know ATO, Sigma Chi come and show us some support.
And it's not exactly a lower level, intramural level sport at all.
I would say our hockey games are just as competitive as the main sports, baseball, football, softball, soccer, all of that.
Not a lot of schools have a hockey team, so having this club at MTSU is rare. The games are physical, competitive, and a sight to see. The Raiders dropped their first game this season to Georgia Tech, one of their toughest conference opponents, but rallied back in the second face-off, ending in a tie with only 2 seconds left on the clock.
Can they make it go? 3 seconds. It's in! It's in! It's a goal for the Blue Raiders! TSU puts it in the back of the net with just 2 seconds left.
All the boys were excited. We played very well for about 50 minutes of that. We're just trying to fix those little kinks and get ready for Georgia.
That's right, Georgia, another tough opponent in a conference schedule filled with top-level Power 5 teams like Vandy, Florida State, Ole Miss, and many more.
Just living up every moment before I have to hang them up.
The Rowdy Raiders, too, hope to avoid hanging it up and make it once again into the postseason playoffs. At Antioch, Tennessee, Audrey Green, MTN Sports.
Great work there from Audrey on this week's Blue Raider Spotlight. We've got plenty more where that came from, but we have to take a TV timeout. We'll be right back with more on Blue Raider Extra Point.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would. But I can't.
Welcome back to the Hall of Fame. Up next, we've got Zachary Loan going behind enemy lines with the scouting report.
The Blue Raiders are playing their first home game of the year as they play in-state rival Tennessee State University Tigers. The Tigers are 0-2 on the year and are coming off a game in which they could only muster 3 points. Middle Tennessee is coming off a game in which they had 9 sacks, which matched a program record, while also allowing -8 rushing yards. The defense also had a pick 6 on the very first play of the game that set a tone for a defense that, dating back to last year, has 7 defensive touchdowns. Tennessee State last week gave up 9 sacks, and they only had 131 total yards, including -8 rushing yards. The Tigers' offense was a struggle last week, so this is an opportunity for the Blue Raiders defense to keep on rolling. Tennessee State also gave up 418 yards of total offense last week. They struggled to stop both the rushing and passing attack of Jackson State, as they gave up 276 yards through the air and 142 on the ground. Last week, MT's offense exploded for almost 400 yards. Chase Cunningham was the star though, as he went 31 of 39 through the air for 266 yards and a touchdown. The 31 completions is tied for 7th in MTSU program history in a single game. A big key to watching this game is the 3rd down conversion rate for Tennessee State. MTSU's defense this year has been stellar on 3rd down, only allowing teams to convert 39% of the time. Tennessee State, on the other hand, have only converted 31% of 3rd downs this year. This is a key area to watch today for the Blue Raiders. The Blue Raiders are looking to keep their momentum going heading into the toughest part of their schedule. This one is a must-have for the Blue Raiders.
That's a great job by Zachary previewing the Tennessee State Tigers and their head coach Eddie George coming to town in this week filled with in-state matchups.
Now let's pitch it over to Grant Langston to see what he has today on The Scoop.
Over 51,000 fans were treated to a defensive masterclass from both Tiger teams in the Southern Heritage Classic last weekend. Tennessee State ultimately fell short after a sloppy offensive performance in the second half. Mike Organ of the Tennessean writes, "By the end, the line that blocked well enough for Draylon Ellis to throw for 257 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first game got him sacked 9 times in the second game. The inconsistent play along the offensive line should allow this opportunistic defense led by Jordan Ferguson to control this game. Also, keep your eyes peeled for former Blue Raider Zach Dobson to lead the wide receiver corps for the Tigers. If there have been any positives for Tennessee State on the young season, one has been their rushing defense, allowing 0 touchdowns and 69 rushing attempts thus far. Oregon predicts a 31-17 win for the Blue Raiders, writing, MTSU has more depth being an FBS program, and that will prove to be the difference down the stretch. Back to you guys."
Thanks, Grant. As always, having great insight on The Scoop.
So guys, with the scouting report and the scoop taken into consideration, what are your keys for the Blue Raiders to get their first win in Floyd Stadium this week?
Yeah, my first key is going to be balanced, as all things should be. Yeah, I'm talking MTSU needs to replicate Thanos. They need to have a balanced game plan. We got Chase Cunningham, Frank Peasant. They need to both play at their max potential. They need to gather the Infinity Gauntlet and come at their opponents with both of those facets of the game to perform at their max peak. Number 2, I've got pedal to the metal. Guys, when Chase Elliott is on the racetrack, does he stop on the final lap?
No.
No, the answer is no, because he is playing to win, and MTSU has to do the same. It's a 60-minute game, and they have to play all 60 minutes to play at their max peak performance and make sure that they clinch a victory. Number 3, Red Floyd Rampage. Guys, it's going to be so great to see MTSU back here at home. The energy of the crowd is going to be electrifying. There's going to be so much to see. And guys, you know, players feed off of that energy. They feed off of that emotion, and that's going to make them all the better here today. MTSU can use that to their advantage to play the best that they have all season.
Let's go.
I like that, Dylan. And my first key is start fast. This is a TSU team that if we let them hang around, this game could be a lot closer than MTSU fans are comfortable with today. And then secondly, a good way to start fast is continue forcing turnovers. 4 turnovers last week were huge for MT, and we got to keep that up if we want to have a successful season. And third and finally, make Eddie George mad. Nothing will make an elite running back madder than if his running back is not producing and Frank the Tank runs for over 150 yards.
You see what I'm doing right here? I'm imitating Frank the Tank. Chugging all game long. Downhill sledding, that's what we need to see him doing. If he gets established early, that gets the crowd into it. That keeps the defense off the field, and more importantly, they're going to be lighting up that Floyd Stadium scoreboard. Get Frank the Tank rolling, we win this game. Second key, home field advantage. You're going to have some Murfreesboro locals. You're going to have some, the Blue Raider Nation is going to be fired up, and they're going to show out today as well. Get the home field crowd into this game, you come away with the win. And finally, Rowdy Raiders rally. When you get into a slump, when you have that turnover, when you miss that field goal, when that 2-minute offense doesn't come through like it needs to, how do you respond? That's going to be the key for MTSU today. Respond, respond, respond. Those are our keys for MTSU to come out on the win column today in Floyd Stadium. We'll be right back with the picks on Blue Raider Extra Point.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
If I could go back and change it all, I would. I think I'm gonna miss you the most. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Maybe it's just the little moments. If I could go back and change it all, if I could go back, I would. But I can't.
Welcome back to Blue Raider Extra Point. It's that time. It's our favorite part of the show. Guys, it's time for the picks. Joining us today on the panel, we've got Blake Hill, MTSU third-year cheerleader. Blake, thank you so much for being here with us, man.
Yeah, thank you for having me today. You know, I'm really excited for this MTSU game. You know, I can't wait.
Absolutely. All right, Simmons, we're starting it off with you. WKU on the road against Indiana.
Yeah, both of these teams coming in with a lot to prove. I like what I've seen out of Western so far. Austin Reed looks good, not quite as good as Bailey Zappi. Indiana trying to prove that their 2-10 season last year was a fluke. I do love their head coach, but I got to say Tom Allen's not going to be enough. I think Western, unfortunately, gets the win.
Dylan, if there's such a thing as a bad 2-0, Western Kentucky is a bad 2-0. I think their defense is really suspect, and I think they lose this week big.
See, I got Indiana winning. You know, WKU, you can never root for WKU.
You'll never hear me cheer on the Hilltoppers, at least while I'm on this campus, to say the least. Both of them 2-0. Both those 2-0s look very different, though. So give me Indiana at home. North Texas on the road against the University of Nevada, Las Vegas.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be Viva Las Vegas for UNLV in this game. Although North Texas does look a lot better. Had a pretty good game last week, but they're still giving up 30 points per game. That's got to be fixed. But although I love the turnover slot machine, it's going to be North Texas getting the victory.
Yeah, when a matchup is this close, I think you kind of have to respect the home team a little bit, and I just don't think North Texas gets it done.
See, I think North Texas gets it done today. You know, I think they're going to pull through.
I'm with you, Blake. I'm taking North Texas in this one. Both these offenses are putting up 33 points a game. It's going to be a big offensive game. Might come down to who has the football last, but I like North Texas getting it done. Georgia Southern on the road against UAB.
Yeah, UAB coming off a really disappointing loss last week to Liberty. It's going to be interesting to see how they respond, but Georgia Southern guys coming off a huge win against Nebraska that got Scott Frost fired. Huge ramifications. And now we're going to see which of these teams comes out the better. I think Georgia Southern's got more momentum. I think they're going to take the victory.
I was the only one here that called that Liberty win last week, but I'm going with the Blazers this week. I think whoever has the ball last in this game is going to win with these two elite offenses, and I think it's the Blazers.
Go ahead, keep rubbing that pick in. I like that.
Oh,
I like
yeah.
it.
I will. Thank you.
I definitely have UAB, on this game.
I'm taking UAB as well. Both teams' week 2 games were decided by 7 points or less. UAB comes into this one as the 11.5-point favorite. I like UAB at home. Charlotte on the road against Georgia State.
Yeah, Charlotte, have you ever heard of the basement? Because that's kind of where you're at right now. I'm sorry to say, you're the worst team in Conference USA, at least in my opinion. Have not looked great so far. Georgia State, say what you want, they might be 0-2, but they played well against Power 5 opponents so far. Georgia State's getting the win.
Georgia State always plays well against Power 5 opponents, and this Charlotte team does not look like a Power 5 opponent, and they're going to lose big.
No, Charlotte looks very terrible, so I think that Georgia State pulls away with the win.
Y'all know me, I'm all about a good upset, but not in this case. Georgia State at home, big. No wins for either one of these teams yet, but I think Georgia State gets into the win column for the first time. Let's go down to the Sunshine State, UCF taking on Florida Atlantic.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the sleeper hits of the week. I like both of these teams so far. FAU with N'Kosi Perry showing out. UCF's got a really balanced offense. It's going to be really an offensive battle, but I think UCF's got just a little bit more. Knights get the victory.
UCF was held to 14 points last week against Louisville, and this Owl offense is elite. I've been high on them all season, and I think they get the win this week.
I think this is going to be a really close game. I think, UCF comes away with it.
I like UCF as well. Like I said, it's a Sunshine State battle, but I like UCF on the road. Louisiana traveling to Rice. Dylan, that's your country.
Yeah, my Bland friends are back, and they had a pretty good win against McNeese last week, but Louisiana is an absolute force in the Sun Belt. Guys, they had one loss last year to Texas. That says it all. Louisiana, the Raging Cajuns, get a big victory.
We'll talk a little bit about Texas later.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I'm with Simmons. I think the Raging Cajuns get it done.
I agree. I think the Raging Cajuns are going to pull away.
I never like it when we're all 4 on the same page, so I'm going to take Rice in this one. You can zoom in on my notes here. I wrote down Louisiana, wrote down all these great notes, but Rice got 4 offensive touchdowns via the passing game last week, and I think they make that tally 5 this week. So I'm taking Rice at home for the first time. UTEP versus New Mexico.
Yeah, UTEP took care of business against New Mexico State last week, but New Mexico is better than their in-state rivals. They played Boise State extremely close. UTEP's on a bit of a landslide right now. Give me New Mexico.
Even with that landslide, they're still a 3-point favorite on the road.
I know.
And like I've been saying, we've got to give these home teams some respect. I don't think they can pull this one off on the road.
See, I think UTEP looked great in Week 1 versus Oklahoma. Although they only put up 3 points, I think that their offense looks pretty good. So I'm gonna have to go with UTEP.
The Lobos hold the edge in this one, 43 wins to 33 wins, but I still like the Miners. I like CUSA representing in this one. Give me UTEP. La Tech at number 5, Clemson.
Louisiana Tech, I'm sorry for what you're about to experience. Not even Terry Bradshaw could save you from this one. The thing is, Clemson's just got the better talent. They've got the better coaching. But I'm going to say this. DJ is going to get benched for Clemson soon. Look out for Cade Klubnik. He is on the rise. He'll be the next quarterback of Clemson, but give me the Tigers.
I think this is a classic tune-up game for the Tigers before they get into ACC play.
See, I'm going to have to go with Clemson. Even though I think Clemson looks like the most overrated team right now, I think Clemson pulls away. I still think this one's going to be close, though.
You can show their rank on one hand with the number 5, but you can also wave goodbye to that number 5 rank after La Tech comes to town. I think La Tech, I like the Bulldogs on the road this week.
Okay.
Give me the Bulldogs over the Tigers. Spoiler alert, more upsets coming. UTSA traveling to number 21, Texas.
Guys, this one breaks my heart. I so want to pick the Krispy Kreme UTSA Roadrunners.
Then do it.
I can't do it, though, because Texas looked too good last week against the number 1 team in the nation with their backup quarterback, Hudson Card. It's going to be too much, guys. Texas gets the win.
As disappointing as that loss was for the Longhorns, it's non-conference, so it's not going to get in the way of their conference play. And I think that was more of a, hey, we can do this kind of loss. Like, that showed Texas what they're capable of, and I think they start a pretty good season run off this weekend.
Well, Texas is losing both their, starter and their backup quarterback this week. Sorry to say it, but Texas sucks. Boomer Sooner, I think UTSA fools.
They call them the Road Runners for a reason, and like I said, this is my other hot pick for the week. I like UTSA on the road here. Number 21, going down. They're not going to be ranked by this time next week, and then UTSA, they're on that climb. They're going to finish this season in the top 25, guys. Put it on pen and paper right now.
New Year's Six game?
What's that?
New Year's Six bowl game?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. New Year's bowl game. Let's go. TSU coming right here, right across the street, actually, to MTSU. Who y'all got? Remember, there is a wrong pick here.
Oh, yes, there certainly is. And I got to say, it's going to be great to see that crowd energized, lively back in Johnny Red Floyd, the best stadium in college football, in my opinion, at least. And I got to say, guys, it's my birthday this week. I got a card here. If there's one thing that I want from MTSU, that I want for my birthday, it's to see a big-time victory. And I think they're going to take that dominant performance against Colorado State and use it to their advantage. MT gets a 41-14 victory.
Yeah, I asked for a Blue Raider response last week, and the boys stepped up. I'm really proud of them, and I think they keep it rolling this weekend.
I think MTSU's got it this weekend, and I can't wait to be cheering on the sidelines. Come find me.
Blake, you better be ready, and you better be ready to flip and flip and flip, because the Raiders are going to be living in the end zone all day long. And I'm calling a Blue Raider runaway in this one. You asked for a response. Well, this week we're getting a Raider runaway.
Oh, yeah, MTSU by 90.
Unfortunately, that is all the time that we have. Thank you so much for joining us here on Blue Raider Extra Point. But before we let you go, Blake, I got to know, how excited are you to be back on that Floyd Stadium sideline today?
Man, I'm so excited to be back there. Great atmosphere, and I can't wait to cheer on our Blue Raiders and definitely get this crowd hyped.
Now, talk to me a little bit about what it's like to be a male cheerleader out on that squad.
Man, it's a lot of hard work, but it comes with a lot of great things. It's definitely a lot, and, it's a lot of time, but thankfully we've been going over a lot, and hopefully we can show this off at this next game and definitely these home games and these basketball games, but it's amazing.
Absolutely. Well, thank you again so much for being here. Fellas, bring us home.
If you missed this or any episode, you can check it out on MiddleTennesseeNews.net and hit the sports tab.
Make sure to follow us at MTN Sports on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Once there was a boy who did the same thing again and again. One day, he was told he had autism. He got help and slowly learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
The black truck? Hey, Christina from accounting.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, I used to date a girl named Christina.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then she dumped me for my best friend. You want to see some photos of them that I took?
I don't.
I thought we talked about this, buddy.
Buzzed and overshared again?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna call a car.
That's a smart idea.
So yeah, I know, that's why I did it.
Hey, you're gonna get back to the top of the mountain.
Does that mean I'm gonna get back with Christina?
No.
Oh.
No.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Never gonna let you go.